Good morning, Justin Equinedge. Welcome. Another edition Fairgrounds daily coverage. Good card today. There's a couple spots I thought that you could press early. The late card I thought was a little more wide open. The turf race in a race 8 is an interesting one. We'll talk about it, but great card. Okay, week last week. I was disappointed. I played that tournament on Sunday. I made a mistake. I still am kicking myself. Hey, Scrat. Thanks, buddy. Good luck to you. I hit a couple tries. I had him cold on the sheet. I talked about him, I think, here, at least the winners. And um I ran my bankroll up to like $900. Yeah, Chris Couples, brother, dude. He's a good guy. What a win in the Pegasus scrap. That was incredible. Kudos to Chris Couples. If you don't know him, he's probably one of the best handicappers I know. He handicaps differently than anybody I've ever seen, I will tell you. Um, he is a true horseman. He knows it. Him and his wife in Keeneland, they are great people. And kudos to Chris for winning the Pegasus scrap. I agree with you. Um, but we might jump back in the Twin Spires tournament. As it was rough this week to handicap after that. I put my faith in that apprentice, and he only had one win, and he did not win. And I should have played exactor the try. I only like 3 horses there, and like I just put it all in to win on him, and I kicked myself. I could have bet like a $500 exacta one way, and then like 350 the other way. I would have been close to getting a seat. So it was a mistake in the tournaments. They're tough, but Twin Spires has great tournaments. Not a lot of racing, so Fairgrounds going to be a lot of Twin Spires tournaments covered around Fairgrounds, racing at Fairgrounds with all the cancellations. You can see in Equinedge, we got cancellations at Aqueduct, Charlestown, Mahoning Valley, and Turfway Park. So there's only 14 Fairgrounds goes off here in 20 minutes. So um, I like the middle early of the card. I'd say early middle. Late, the pick 6 interesting. There's a good carryover. I don't think a single ticket will pay it, but it could be interesting. I thought this race was pretty wide open. I don't think the 1 or 2 probably fit, but honestly, I kind of struggle between the others because they've all kind of been facing, and there's a lot of different things that could go on here. Nakesh, I think if you're e-user, you'll see my analysis down here. I mean, comes out of his race as Mary Claire. They were in that same race on 1-8 in the 10th and didn't get the lead. And you look, Francis with Friends, who was also in that race and ended up running okay. And then you have Johns June, who's going to show speed. But if Nakesh gets loose, I'm not sure how much pace there is here. Could be super dangerous on the front end, but I think the 7 in the mix, I didn't have a strong opinion here. It's those 4 for me. I 6-5-4-7, but I thought it was tough. Race 2, one of my bust bets of the card. Showtime, I think, is a single with Jose. 30,000 claimer, 66 SOR. I mean, that's a pretty high. That's close to allowance type strength of race for us. So this is a good 30,000 claimer. Brighter days ahead and Carmboso, I think, show speed. I think Showtime with Jose gonna sit a dream trip off the speed. I always run the race sim. It's the first thing I do, and you look, and I like to look at strength of race in these. I mean, won a 30,000 claimer out of 66 last out back on January 8th. Basically on the lead, but has tactical speed. Joe Sharp leading at the meet, 24 wins, just absolutely dominating. Calhoun second with 14, Wilson with 14, Cox with 13, Sheree DeVoe with 12. So, I mean, Joe, 10 wins ahead. Jose up by 3 on Paco with 40. So, I think it's a good trip. I think Jose going to get quite a few wins today. But I like him here to sit the trip. I think the speed backs up. Guarnere, they're going to have to really improve, in my opinion. Did win by 6 lengths last out. I think this horse will take some action. It's definitely, I would say, in the mix, along with Disco Ball and Brighter Days Ahead. But I think Showtime would be my best bet. one of the best bets. I just think it's a good trip for Joe. Second off the claim with Jose. Race 3, I have My Glory B on top. I do think late September has a shot. But, you know, Charco up front, a little bit of a look. I wanted to maybe play a daily double here from that 3 into the 5. And maybe a little bit of 7, but I'm still kind of trying to figuring that out. But I do have the 5 on top, My Glory B. I think we get a good price, is what I like. Actually sits the trip and wins the race sim, right? So we look at the 2 out here on the lead. I do think we'll take some pressure from G Wildcat, because G Wildcat trained by Paul Duhon. The 5 trained by Joe Duhon. I don't know. I guess they're brothers, or I don't know if anybody knows. I've never seen Paul Duhon, but first, or not for start, but looking for first win. I think shows speed with Charco. And I think that we could see a duel. I don't think Charco gonna get loose. If Charco get loose, dangerous for sure. So, but I think it takes a little bit of pace, and I think My Glory B sits the trip late September. Well, let's look at My Glory B. 1-58 last out, going 5.5 stretches. I've been facing too tough at Delta and Evangeline, and even that allowance race. So now in State Bred Claiming, gets back to the appropriate spot. Had one similar 58 at Louisiana Downs a couple years ago. But, you know, I was 5.724 here, but maybe leaning towards the 5 from a daily double, and the 7 even maybe in the mix. I know this horse has not won in a long time for Camejo, but he 29% at the meet, places the horse at the right level off of that lengthy layoff, has some layoff lines, and obviously had some big issues to be gone for 2 years. But might be in the mix here with Paco, and you might find some value. I expect this horse to take money. So again, 5-7 there. You know, maybe a daily double out of the last. I thought Enlighten, I think a trifecta could be in play here. This looked like Enlighten as a single also. It'd be my second single. The really probably the only 2 on the card. I do think the 2 has a little bit of a look. So in the verticals, you might flip it around, but I thought Enlighten could be a single here. I also like the trifecta in this race. You could key the 10 on top, maybe a little bit of savor with the 2. But I think this has the potential to come 10-9, and maybe only the 4 and 6 in the try. So I like the 10-2 exacta as well. You know, but throw the 9 Polar Bear Plunge in the mix, maybe underneath, along with the 4 and 6. Don't dismiss the 6 Bold Discovery in the try and the super. But Enlightened Maker Jose, I talked about Jose earlier. I think he has a day for sure. Gonna be, I thought, tough here. Dropping second time, was in back-to-back allowance at Fairgrounds, and now drops 4 to 6 points in SOR. The strength of race for us, our class figure, 2 to 4 points is material. Okay. And so when you see a drop like that, that's material. You go 3 back, 1 in New York for Morley, Maker, Jose. Maker places horses in the right spot. I think the drop makes a lot of sense. Contemplation off the claim for Stidham was the other runner I mentioned. I think there's only those 2 that can win. But the others, I think the 4, 6, 9 are your underneath players, you know, for that trifecta. But 1-58 there, but gonna have to improve. But 1 by 2 lengths at Fairgrounds gets an inside post. But I don't worry about the 10 post. Should be able to. They can close from out here, find a good stocking position. So, you know, 10-2. You know, for me, it would be my top 2, and then 4, 6, 9 underneath. So I only think the 2 and 10 can win, though. Like the exacta, like the try there. And again, I think the 10 could be a single. I thought race 5, this is only between the 4 and 5. Jose riding Jailhouse Religion, the 4, and Y City. These are the races, in my opinion, that will determine how well the pick 6 will pay. Probably because what happens here, you know, in those 2 races, if you get chalk, I think nobody gonna take the whole point. It's like a 70,000 carryover. So I'm gonna look to. I'm not gonna play it today. I'll probably play tournament today. Might play pick 6 later this week if it doesn't get hit. But I thought it was between those 2. Honestly, I thought the others were kind of running for underneath. The 2-3 may be underneath, right, in the try, but it looked like these two on top, in my opinion. So you could daily double out of the last, but I was 4 or 5, and again in the last 10-2. So you look at dutching some daily doubles there as well. That honestly was the strongest opinion. I will show these, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I see we're at about 9 minutes. I try to always get these done in around 10 minutes, about a minute and a half a race. And feel free in the chat. Scrat, thanks for chiming in. Feel free to chime in, you guys. I'm happy to chat. So I'm 143. I almost thought Boasson might be a single. So take that for what it's worth. A good stalking trip, I think. I do think, if I remember correctly, that there might be some other speed here. Was not from the 7, not from the 5. Let me look at my notes. I think if I remember right, the 3 has Paco, right? So yeah, he could get dangerous here for Schultz. I mean, not Lindsay, not good. 1 win, and I think it was a price. 1 for 32, just not good. But that's a little bit where I leaned more towards the 1 on top and venture. So, but you look, I mean, Paco aboard might get back. It's back to the turf. The genetic strength rating goes up 5 points. Might be a dangerous long shot on the lead. But Boasson for Sharp and Jose, we talked about them. They're both, I think, going to have some wins, and especially Jose. He can probably have at least 3 on the card, maybe more. But, comes out of that 58 and 64 sprinting at Toga. You can sit the trip here. So 1 could be really tough. Take a lot of money. Sit off the speed. Jose pounce on the turf. So 143, 1 potential single. But race 7, this is a tough meeting. Got a Cox Firster and Bird the Legend. The 3 and 6 both ran well as maidens, but are they going to duel? Are they going to be, are they just going to duel each other into submission? I do worry about that a little bit in this maiden race. It's a maiden. I thought, and you'll see, the race sim thinks they could potentially duel, right? So I think from that perspective, there could be closers. I put Bird the Legend on top, the Cox Firster. I did put Zoom second, the 3. We'll talk about that. But Cox Flo not getting a lot of mounts, but he gets a Brad Cox mount here, and Flo not riding bad, 17%, but he is not getting mounts after arriving back from Japan into the U.S., so I don't know what's going on. But Matacat here, a Firster, I think finds the right spot, and I thought could be tough. Kazoom, Fitz, probably need the lead, going to be gunning, and that's a little bit what I read about with Halo Music, who was on the lead last out, and they both raced in that 1-4 race and was on the lead. But I think the 3 might need the lead. So I think the pace could just be hot here. I think it could fall apart, and you see all these closers. So not strong opinion for me. Race 8, again, on the turf, would be my vulnerable favorite of the day, and Wickard is Haggard. I do think that I bought the 7 back in. I think that the 6 is going to get pressed. And I think this horse backs up on the turf. And I think one of these other horses, the 3, 5, 8, 9, 10, are going to sit and come flying and win. The rail is out today. The turf course is listed as good, it says. So I think they get a little bit of rain. It's been chilly, but it's nice. It's nice here in Seattle, too. A little bit of rain, But I think somebody closes. You can see the 3, 8, 9, 10 all coming. The 10 backing up. But I think as a look, and we'll talk about that. But I was 3, 10, 9, and then deep spread would be 8, 5. But I think you can beat the 6. And I always talk about, if you don't like a horse, just take it off, and they're the 8B. Turf Monster, the long shot. Axel Rides does fine on the turf. You can see 2 back. Came closing run here in the 11 post, but I tossed that race. That broke slow, didn't have a good run. Gets inside post, save ground. I think could close. Jose ride for Britland Stable, a homebred here. It's a state bred allowance, so they're still protected. Jose rides, didn't win last out, but 2 back can win, and that was on the in the rails. So now gets to the outside, a much better spot, in my opinion, on Fairgrounds turf to close. And I thought Captivating Star could be a closer there. Me Solution, another long shot. You look back at the back form. Ran in back-to-back 56s and ran second and fifth, and Paco jumps aboard. So this horse getting back to the Fairgrounds turf, I thought had a look closing off the pace. So tough race. Again, my opinions came middle and early. If you missed it, you could watch back. I did think this was tough, and then I thought the last race was tough. I'll let you watch the race sim. So, not a strong opinion in race 7 through 9. For me, again, big carryover in the pick 6. Great Twin Spires tournaments today. I think they'll be competitive. This is a pretty good card, and with not a lot of racing, I think people will take action there. And watch Jose today. I think he's gonna have a big day. I'll let y'all watch the race sim, and then I'll let you go. But 6 horse I think is dangerous. You get a great price. You'll see here wins the race sim. But I think it's a bit of a jockey's race on what's gonna happen, in my opinion. But for me, not strong opinion in the last. I'd be spread if I was playing horizontal. All right, y'all. How about the Seahawks? Going to the Super Bowl, looking good. We need them. I got a lot of futures bets with them, so I hope that they win. I have some futures with them winning the NFC as well, so we'll still be okay. But futures really heavy on them winning the Super Bowl with some good combinations. When they get through, we'll talk about it. So, all right, we'll be back Fairgrounds all weekend starting here on Thursday. Good luck. Like I said, I press opinion middle and early. If you're playing horizontals, might have a look late, So, all right, y'all. Have a good day. Chat soon.